Greetings viewers, welcome to the first of our March webinars. For those of you who aren't regulars, I'm Jo Henderson from the Dux Soup marketing team, and I'm joined by Dux Soup and resident LinkedIn expert Giles Garnett. We hold these free sessions every 2 weeks where we focus on how to generate improved results for your lead generation using LinkedIn and Dux Soup. Moving around. In today's session, we'll be looking at how to get the best out of LinkedIn automation using Dux Soup Turbo, which is one of our 3 page plans. We're joined by a large number of non-users today, so welcome to you guys. I hope you find the session useful. We've also had some great questions in advance, which Giles will endeavour to answer as we go through the session. So before I hand over to Giles, just a few reminders. If you'd like to provide us with a review, then please head over to G2. And if you use today's date when you add in any comments, then we will send you one of our lovely Dux Soup caps. So here we are behind me. Regarding today's sessions, if you have any questions, add them into the question box on the GoTo dash. I always try to answer as many as I can as we go through, but any I can't, I'll put to Giles at the end of the session. So make sure you stick around. You'll be sent the recording of today's webinar later today, so you can give yourself a rest from taking any notes. Just listen and absorb. And then you'll all be able to watch it again later on. I think that's it from me, Giles. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you ever so much, Jo. And hello, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening to you, wherever you may be in the world. And welcome to today's webinar, which is in which, oh, blimey, we've gone one slide too many already. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we're going to talk about how to get started with Dux Soup Turbo. So 2 weeks ago we did how to get started with cloud. We're going to do turbo now, and then of course in the future we're going to be getting started with Dux Soup Pro. But today turbo is the topic. Do get your questions in. Jo will deal with what she can, and then I'll get to answer a few exciting questions at the end, hopefully. And yes, I have seen all the questions come in before, so I've tried to answer as many of those during the slides as possible. But yeah, great to have everyone on the webinar today, and let's crack on. So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to flick a little bit between slides and demo as we go. Normally I do a bunch of slides and then some demo at the end, but today we're going to do a little bit of do slide demo. So we'll be flicking backwards and forwards a bit, and as Jo said already, it's going to be recorded, and fingers crossed we won't have any technical issues like last time. We had like a 6 or 8 minute outage where I had no connection. So I'm well informed though that Jo's got a song ready for if I lose my connection, so we're all good to go there. That's no problem at all. No, not raising expectations there, Jo, at all. Okay. Right, let's crack on. What is Dux Soup? There are a few non-users of Dux Soup on the call, and whether they've been trying the trial or whatever, I'm not entirely sure, but a few non-users of Dux Soup, people who are new to Dux Soup. So what is Dux Soup? It's a Chrome extension which basically mimics human behavior on the LinkedIn platform. You define your list of prospects in LinkedIn, or you create a list from whatever sources you have, and then you get Dux Soup to perform your chosen actions against that list. Dux Soup is mimicking human behavior, and that's how Dux Soup keeps your LinkedIn account safe. And we've actually got 3 different versions of different paid editions of Dux Soup, as I've already mentioned. So we've got Pro, we've got Turbo, and we've got Cloud. And the URL at the bottom there, which I'm sure Jo will be putting into the chat box for everybody to be able to get to, that shows you the breakdown of all the features of all of the editions there. So that's what Dux Soup is. It helps you automate your lead generation activities on LinkedIn, depending on what your requirements, depending on what your processes are. So yeah, have a look at the website. Hopefully you'll get some more information from today's webinar, which will help you make an informed decision about what it does and give you a good flavor as to a good taster as to what it's doing. So that's what Dux Soup is. Now, one of the things we don't cover very often is why would you do all of this on LinkedIn? So what you need to remember that every time you're doing something on LinkedIn, it's creating a notification somewhere. So whether you're building your network with connection requests, or whether you're posting articles or sharing things, there are some really easy wins when it comes to Dux Soup. Sorry, when it comes to LinkedIn even. First of all is be busy on LinkedIn, because you're creating notifications. People will see that you're on the platform. It will also add to your credibility on LinkedIn. And then having a well-presented profile page, which is well-researched, well-rounded, then you will get a lot more benefit from that. It's like your adverts to the world. Make sure you've got your profile photo up to date, have a relevant background, headline, skills, experience, and do update your headline periodically, depending on what you're doing, depending if maybe you're recruiting, maybe you're looking for new clients in a certain area. Update your headline depending on what you're doing, because your one target or your first mission is to get people to visit your profile. When people visit your profile, hopefully they can make an informed decision as to what their next step will be. So whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, whether you're using automation or whether you're not, whether you're using Dux Soup or not, make sure your profile is relevant and up to date. It's really, really important. On that note, let's just duck out of the slides a second and let's go to my profile. So this is me on LinkedIn. If anybody, I always say this on the webinars, if anybody's not connected with me already on LinkedIn, please feel free to send me a connection, but do mention Dux Soup in your connection request, because then I know how you found me. I'm very happy to interact with Dux Soup users and yeah, exchange ideas, etc., etc. So do feel free to reach out to me. So here, if I go and visit a profile, people are going to see this is my headline. So that's what I want them to see. I want them to know what I'm doing. Not necessarily a job title, but it's a description as to what you're doing, because then people have more information about you. So that's our little bit of LinkedIn basics there, which I sometimes cover, but yeah, I think it's something that we should touch on a little bit more often, perhaps. Later on this year, I think during April, we're going to be having a guest presenter who's going to be going into this in more detail, and maybe Joe will touch on that a bit later, later in the program. So that's our LinkedIn basics. Why Dux Soup Turbo? So we've got the 3 editions. Well, Dux Soup Turbo gives you the opportunity to have a fully automated LinkedIn outreach tool. You can integrate with thousands of other platforms, literally, and it gives you complete campaign deployment. And as well as that, if you're looking at multiple licenses, if you've got a team, for example, you can have team campaigns, you can have coordinated outreach. Dux Soup Turbo gives you that possibility to build those campaigns, enroll prospects, and just keep things rolling. You just keep feeding, keep filling the hopper, as somebody said the other day. Make sure there's always enough in there to keep the robot busy. Dux Soup Turbo gives you that opportunity. You can just dip in, enroll a bunch of people, and then leave it. And that's one of the things that came up in our survey when we got people to ask questions, don't know, etc., etc. What are you interested in? What's the difference between Pro and Turbo? So without spending too much time on it, Pro allows you to carry out automated actions in real time. So for example, you'll find a list and then you'll say to Dux Soup, right, go and send connections to these people in this list, and then Dux Soup follows those instructions. Your computer has to stay on and you keep the browser open. It does it in real time, and maybe it's messaging or connection requests, whatever it may be. The difference with Turbo is that you get scheduled campaign actions. Everything's executed in the background, so you'll need to see a new tab open periodically as Dux Soup sends a message or a connection request. What you're doing is queuing up commands for Dux Soup to execute sometime in the future. You build as many campaigns as you like. You've got lots of different options when it comes to campaign definitions as well. So yeah, all you do is you define your campaign, you enroll your prospects, and then you just monitor. And those are a lot of the steps that we're going to go through today and review. The other thing that you get with Turbo and with Cloud is you get access to the open API, and you have endless, virtually endless integration possibilities. We have some native integrations, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but we also have, of course, the integrations with the no-code platforms such as Make.com and Zapier, which give you lots more possibilities. And indeed, if you've got your own developers, there's no reason why you can't. And many of our users do this. They integrate with other platforms as well through the open API. So that's Turbo versus Pro. Right, so now we'll do some slides, and we'll dip in and out of the actual tool so you can see. So Dux Soup Turbo campaigns. We're going to talk through what a campaign creation is, how you do it from the Dux Dash, and how you can then create as many campaigns as you like, and also show you what a team campaign looks like. So let's go into, so we're here in LinkedIn. There we go. Let's go back to LinkedIn. So how do we get to our campaign page? If we go to our Dux Soup icon here, we go down to our Dux Dash. This is Dux Soup Turbo. So if you've not used Dux Soup before and you've installed it for the first time, you get 14 days free of the full feature set of Dux Soup Turbo. So if you're still thinking about it, there's no obligation, there's no details required. You literally can just install it and have a free play around with it for 2 weeks. And this is the same version that I've got here, so Turbo. So we click on our Dux Soup extension icon here. We go down to our Dux Dash here. And this is the environment where we can go in and administer all of our campaign activities. Over on the left-hand side here, we've got various options, and as hopefully is fairly intuitive, you can see here we've got drip campaigns. So we can go into our drip campaigns here, and this is where we can go in and build our campaigns. Now, I've turned a lot of these off for purposes of doing this webinar, but what we're going to do is we're going to very quickly build a new campaign as part of this. So we're getting up and running with Turbo. What's the first thing you want to do? You want to build a new campaign. So we're going to create a new campaign. We're going to press new campaign button here. We're going to give the campaign a name. We're going to call it webinar March 2024. There we go. So we're going to give the campaign a name. Now I can't remember what I was going to do this. I think it was BDMs. Or we're going to do a BDM Business Development Manager campaign. So I've given it a bit of a description. I know the sorts of people I'm going to put into my campaign. I can decide if I want to execute my campaign in whichever platform I want. Now, normally I use Sales Navigator. If you've got Sales Navigator, I would recommend using it because it does give you slightly more, I think, consistent approach. But you have lots of facilities in Sales Navigator which are really useful. But one of the things that we've noticed is you get fewer pop-ups from LinkedIn with any warnings if you're using the Sales Nav platform. So now we want to create our campaign steps. Now I'm going to be targeting second and third degree connections, so I want to be able to send people a connection request. Now, before I do my connection request, I'm actually going to get Dux Soup to carry out a visit to their profile. I'm going to say to Dux Soup, start with a visit, and then a couple of days later, send my connection request. There we go. So we've now got, if I enroll a prospect into this campaign, they're going to get the visit first. Now, hopefully all things being well, I should be able to grab that and bring that over, and we'll put our connection request message in here. There we go, as if by magic. There we go. So I've got my connection request message here. I'm using the markers or the placeholders down the bottom here to make it look personalized, _FN_ for first name. So there we are. There's my connection request that will go out a few days after my visit. Now, what will happen with Dux Soup then is Dux Soup will then, if I enroll somebody into this campaign, it will listen for when they accept, and once they accept, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to send them a follow-up message, and I'm going to ask for that to go 2 days after they've connected. So there we are. Thanks for connecting. Just a very quick, just a short message, just a quick sort of acknowledgement and a quick link there. Nothing too wordy, nothing too expansive. I do not want to write chapter and verse here and bore people. I want them to have the chance to read it. It needs to be one paragraph, no longer. There we go. We've got follow-up message number 1 there. Let's save that before we go any further in case I press a wrong button. So what we can do now is we can add further steps to our campaign. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another message here. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this one after, I don't know, another 14 days. So a couple of weeks later. There we go. Let's grab the message for that one. Here's one I prepared earlier. There we go. So I've got another message here. Hey, we've been connected for a couple of weeks now. Just wanted to share this article with you, blah, blah, blah. It's conversational. It looks natural. What I'm trying to do here is stimulate people to at least visit my profile or to even respond to me with an answer or some information from them. And then just to complete this particular campaign, and there's a great resource which I'm going to share with you at the end, which hopefully Joe will put into the chat as well, a 10-step plan for building good campaigns. It's something that we did, I think, in September last year. It's a blog post which goes through sort of like a good sequence, good tempo for a campaign. But this is just an example here. There we go. So we're going to send another message here 45 days later. There we go. So I've got a complete campaign here. Now, this is a relatively short one. It's only 4 messages, including the connection request. You could, of course, extend this out as much as you want, up to 12 actions in a campaign. But we've got here the basis of our campaign, webinar, March 2024. There we go. We've saved it, I think. Did we save it? Yes, we did. We saved it. And we look down our list here. There we are. There's my campaign there towards BDMs. So that's how quickly we can create a campaign. It's about coming up with good messages, thinking about the tempo, thinking about the engagement, thinking about how you would feel receiving these sorts of messages. One sort of basic rule I would think about here, and everyone has their own views on this, I would not be sending multiple messages to my prospects every week. So I would not be sending 2, 3, 4 messages inside a week. I want to give people time to digest the message, people time to review the message, give people time to look at my profile. It looks more natural if it's more spaced out. Of course, always write the content of your message around how you've found those people. So there we are, we've built our campaign. Go back to our slides here, there we go, that's what we've covered now. We've covered to create the campaign, we do it from the Dux dash. Unlimited campaigns, we can have up to 12 actions. I didn't mention team campaigns, did I? So if you've got multiple seats in a team account, you can enable here team campaigns. So there's a little checkbox there. Now my account's not a team account, so I can't do that. But what happens if you make it a team campaign here? It means that everybody in your team can use that campaign, and you get a little extra bonus because you actually end up with another placeholder down the bottom. You get a signature placeholder down the bottom, which you can define under your profile. So you can sign off your messages with _SIG if it was a team campaign. That way you can use your personalized signature in order to sign off those messages. So that's a little thing to be aware of if you're using the team campaigns. As well as that, if you've got a team campaign, it prevents duplicated outreach. So if I enrolled somebody into this campaign as a team campaign, then none of my other colleagues could put that person into that same campaign. So we have that safeguard there as well. That's campaigns for you. It's the same as with Cloud. Turbo and Cloud, the campaigns are exactly the same. So there's a massive overlap here. So if you're learning this and you're using Turbo, or you're thinking about using Turbo, or maybe you're a Turbo user thinking about Cloud, this part is exactly the same for both editions of Dux Soup. So there we are, we've done our campaigns, we've built our campaign and it's all ready to go. So what do we need to do now? We need to enroll some prospects. We need to fill up that hopper with some prospects. We can use LinkedIn, we can use Sales Navigator, we can use Recruiter, and many different lists as well within those platforms to enroll our prospects. We need to build lists, good quality lists of people, and then we can enroll people either individual, or we can do a bulk enroll from the list, depending on what we're doing. We can even enroll from file. So if you've got a CSV file with LinkedIn URLs, you can enroll people directly from a file. Make use of all the LinkedIn search criteria to build the best quality list possible. I can't emphasize this enough. You can always, if you've got sales, if you're fortunate enough to have Sales Navigator, you can build lead lists. So then you're very specific in in who makes it to your lead list. If you're reliant on the, should we say, the vagaries of LinkedIn search results. I was carrying out a search yesterday. I got some very odd results when I was looking for certain people. It was like, well, I've been searching for CEOs, but this person's not a CEO. So be aware that search results can sometimes come up with some odd results here and there. But you know, they're pretty good. But we've got a couple of articles which I'll recommend to you as well at the end in our resources section. One about the different lists you can use, and also how you can make use of all the searching and filtering criteria in LinkedIn. Boolean searches are really handy there. And if anybody's got questions about that, we can always cover that later. In the small text at the bottom there, I know it's quite small text, but hopefully you can see it. Remember, the degree of connection will impact the campaign actions, i.e., second and third degree connection will get the connection request, or an InMail. You could also use InMails, and we covered that previously on another webinar. If you enroll a first degree connection, they're just going to get the follow-up actions, the stuff after the connection request. So be aware of that when you're enrolling people in there. Make sure you're filtering correctly. So let's go and have a look and see how we enroll then. So here we are. We'll do it in regular LinkedIn, shall we? So let's go in here and let's go for business. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just do BDM. There we go. Maybe this will come up with some people. So there we are. I've just looked for business development manager. I'm looking for people. I just need to make sure I've got a list of people here. Oh, great. I've got 2.5 million. I'm never going to get through 2.5 million, am I? So let's narrow it down a little bit. Let's look for just second degree connections. I've still got over 100,000. So let's narrow that down to, I don't know. Let's look just here in the Netherlands. That'd probably be a good idea. There we go. There we go. So I've got here, I've still got 6,300. Now that is too many for a search result normally. When I say it's too many for a search result, you may or may not be aware, LinkedIn is only showing me 100 pages of a search result. So in regular LinkedIn, that means 1,000 people. In Sales Navigator, I think in Recruiter as well, that means 2,500 people because you get 25 on a page. So just be aware of that when you're doing your searches. Yeah, it's just one of those things in LinkedIn. And what we were waiting for then was the Dux Soup icon to turn green. See, the icons turn green and Dux Soup says at your service. So now I am ready to go with being able to put these people into my campaign. Now I could use all the other filters and narrow down this list a bit more. But essentially what I've got here is I've got a list of people who I can stick into my campaign. Two ways of doing it from here. The first one is from the sidebar here, from the widget. I can click on the widget, and in a moment it will scroll with me, but I can select from my list of campaigns here. Now loads of these are grayed out because I've turned them off at the moment for the purposes of the webinar. Here we are, webinar March 2024. I can enroll these people individually. I can skip through the list and enroll people individually if I wanted to. Actually, that's quite an inefficient way of working. What I can do though is I can bulk enroll, and this is a far more efficient way of working. I click on my Dux icon, I click on the Enroll Profiles button, I select whichever campaign I want from my list, so we'll go for this one, and then I can decide how many people I want to stick in there. This is where, and I know there were some questions about this when people were enrolling for the campaign, enrolling for the webinar. This is where the numbers game comes into play. How many people do you put into a webinar? Now, personally, I like to think of queuing up a week's worth or so like that, but everyone has their own process. I was talking to somebody the other day, was like, well, I've got a list of 2,000 good prospects here. I'm going to enroll all 2,000 into that campaign. That's great. His settings were set up so he's saying 25 invites a day. So it's going to take, a number of weeks to go through that particular list of 2,000, because Dux Soup will only process the number of connection requests or whatever, or messages that you have defined. So here we go. I'm going to stick in here. I'm going to stick in 100. There we go. If I press OK there. Now I think mine is set up to send 25 invites a day. So if it was to start sending invites today, that would see me through the rest of the week. 25 a day takes me through to Friday. There's lots of different discussions that we have about numbers of people that you put into a campaign. It depends on how many different campaigns you've got, where your priorities are. Do you need to pivot and do something else? Once you've started to enroll people, Dux Soup is going to literally just process things chronologically. So if I went in here and queued up 750 or 1,000 people, it's going to process all of that before it then does something else. There we are. It's skipped the first two because they've already gone in the campaign. So Dux Soup will not allow you to put somebody into the same campaign twice. So there we are. We can now see it's starting to go through, carrying out these enrollments for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now leave that to run and talk about a few other things that we can do when it comes to enrolling or putting people into campaigns. As I said earlier, we can do it from different places. So there are different lists we could use. We could go to Sales Navigator and do a search. We could go and find a lead list and do it from our lead list. Anywhere where the Dux Soup icon turns green is a place you can enroll prospects from. As well as that, we can also enroll from a file. So if I go back to my Dux Dash here, there's our campaign. If I go into my funnel, what you'll have here, we've got a button here that says enroll from file. So we go to enroll from file. If I've got a file here, let's take this one here. I know there's a bunch of URLs in here. I can go in there in a second. There we go. I've got 1,131 profiles there. I can now select whichever campaign I like and enroll people directly from that file. Just need to have the LinkedIn URLs. We could talk about scanning and other bits and pieces, but if you want to know more about that, then do have a look at our website. It's a way of building lists very quickly. So what we can do there is we can enroll from different places, so on and so forth. What we'll see there is that actually Dux Soup is starting to process some of those people I've just put into the campaign. So that's where we're seeing that new tab open there as it's starting to action things that I've put into that campaign. So that was, hopefully, there we go, enrolling. So we've talked about how we can do that from our prospect lists individually or bulk. We will come on to it later as well. We can also do it via our integrations. We'll touch on that a little bit later when we talk about our CRMs. Once we've got people into our campaign, so we've built our campaigns, we've enrolled prospects, now we need to monitor our campaigns. So we can do that all through the funnel. In the Dux Dash, we monitor the progress of the campaigns. We can see how many people have been invited or messaged. We can then check our acceptance rates, how effective or how well our campaigns have been going. And we can also review the LinkedIn, the responses that are coming into LinkedIn or into Sales Navigator, and then decide on the next action. So it's a really useful place to go in. We do see people getting a bit confused sometimes. I think, well, should I monitor things in my LinkedIn mailbox or on my Dux Dash? Or it doesn't matter. It's up to you. It depends on what your process is, how you feel comfortable doing it. But the campaign control is always coming from the Dux Dash. So if we go into the Dux Dash a second, and here we are in the funnel. Now, if we have a look at the campaign I created just there, so there we are, webinar March 2024. What we can see here is so far enrolled 39 people. So we can see here down below, we can see the 39 people who've gone into that campaign so far. Now we know that the first action is an auto visit. So what we'll see is there's auto visits being executed, and then a few days time, I'll start to see the invites going out here. So I'll be able to see how the progress then goes. Once the invites go out, then hopefully I'll get some acceptances. Then I'll be able to see which follow-ups have gone out, and then hopefully I'll get some responses as well, all being well. Now, in order to have a look at some data, what we can do is we can actually go in here, and hopefully this campaign here will have some data in it, because then it'll be quite useful to be able to show you some real data. This is from a campaign I ran last year. So what we can see here, if I look at this particular campaign in a moment when this loads up, any second now, it will appear. Please talk amongst yourselves while the while this works. There we go. There we go. So here, what we can see, this is a fairly, this is just from a test campaign I was running last year. We can see how many people I've enrolled, how far it's got with the invites. So there might be different reasons why I've enrolled more than I've invited. Maybe I put some first degree connections in here, and then I can see my acceptance rate. So I've invited 83% of the enrolled, and of the people I've invited, 47% have accepted. That's a really, really good acceptance rate. I've only sent a small number of follow-ups, but I can see here I've had 65 responses. Now, if I click on any of these blocks here, I can look at those people below. So if I click on 65 here, there we go, I can see the 65 people who've responded. And if I scroll down here, I can then actually see as well the responses that have come in. So this gives me a complete view of my discussions with these people. And then it also gives me the decision point, especially for these people who've responded. Here I could say, because if they respond, and this is a really important point, the campaign pauses, the campaign stops if somebody responds. And then it's up to you what happens next. So for example, if I've got a connection request here, it's been accepted, sure thing, happy to connect. Now I may want this person to get my next message in the campaign. I press the continue button. I may wish to switch them to another campaign. Maybe I've got other follow-up messages which I might want to put towards them. I can put them into a different campaign. I may have made a mistake. I may have put somebody into a campaign by error, and I may wish to unenroll them. That would remove their data from the campaign, and I can then do something else with them. Or indeed, I could message them direct. So I could actually send them a message in LinkedIn from here, and then Dux Soup will execute that action as per anything else that you've queued up. I can also qualify in and qualify out depending on the type of response I get here. That would then move them either to the qualified part here or indeed the qualified out. Depending on what your process is, how you're handling your prospects, those options there are available to you. And once I've dealt with the first one, I can scroll to the next one. I just press the next, and it takes me down to the next person in the list. And you see these are all the people here that have responded to me in this particular campaign. So the funnel flow is really, really handy for being able to have a snapshot view per campaign, per date range, and then you can even export this data if you want to. So you can actually export this data into a spreadsheet or wherever you need to with the LinkedIn URLs as well. So that's a very, very handy function there. Again, this is exactly the same as in cloud. So do be aware of that. If you've got a team account, you also have access to a team funnel. And it's basically the same as this, but for your team campaigns, but without the message exchanges visible. So you do have an overall view of a team funnel if you're the team admin as well. While I've been talking, we may have seen a few tabs open there. So those are Dux Soup carrying out. That's Dux Soup carrying out the actions that I've been queuing up here. So here it's still enrolling my 100 prospects into my campaign here. That's still busy there. And what we can do here, just to complete this,
Giles, come back. Giles. Yeah, I'm not going to sing for you guys, don't worry. Just going to give him a minute. Can you just confirm to me, just by popping a couple of notes in the questions, that Giles has frozen on your screens as well as mine, please, guys? Yeah, it looks like Giles has gone offline. Let's give him a couple of moments. You may as well look at my face as opposed to a frozen screen. I'm just having a look to see if we've had any questions come in already that I can look at. Yep, frozen, Joey, Paul, yes, thank you. I can see now that Giles has disappeared offline, so hopefully just bear with and he'll come back in a few seconds. Hopefully it won't be the 8 minutes that it was last time. I did threaten I would do the Christmas quiz again if that happened, and maybe I'll have to. So I'll tell you what then, I'll do what I was going to do before. I'll go over with you guys what is happening in 2 weeks' time for our next session. So for those of you who may not be aware, we've in the last week launched a new success story on our website by a guy called Ashish Janiani, who is the CEO and founder of motivationaldiaries.com, and he will be joining us for our next webinar on March the 19th. So he's going to be sharing with us his successful 3-point sales cycle, which led him to close 10K worth of deals in under a month, generating 200K from Dux Soup in 24 months. So Motivational Diaries is a leading sales coaching agency in India, and Ashish attributes his company's explosive growth to finding Dux Soup. So yes, he'll be bringing bags of energy, and he's looking forward to sharing his winning strategy with us, and he'll be taking lots of questions from you guys as well. So that's something that we can look forward to. Oh, look who's back.
I'm not quite sure what happened there. I had a horrible feeling that was going to happen, and I'm not quite sure what happened there. Apologies for that, everyone. No idea why that is the case. How far did we get, Joe?
Everyone is still here. You were looking at your campaign.
That doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't. Can you just pull up your campaign screen again?
Yeah, let me,
and I think you just talked about the team, the funnel flow for the team. You were saying obviously you don't have team on there, so you wouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah, so we don't have the team. So yeah, I was talking about queued activity, I think.
There we go. We've gone through that. Yes, thank you. Let's go.
So we need to do some sort of hardware audit, I think, at this end to see what's going on there. But apologies for that, everybody. Queued activity. So what we can see is, because Dux Soup was busy enrolling people into my campaign. Oh, there we go. What we can see now is, if I go down to my my webinar March 2024, what we can see here, all of these visits have been queued up. And what we also know is, after a visit happens, it's queuing up a connection request. And as we can see here, in 3 days' time, so on Friday, the 8th, Dux Soup is going to be sending out these connection requests for me. So we can see here the campaign is already up and running and working exactly as it should. Right, what I was then going to talk about was, because we've talked about campaign monitoring, we're going to talk about integrations. So with Dux Soup, from the Dux Dash, we have direct integrations with Pipedrive, HubSpot, SharpSpring. And with these two-way integrations, we can bring contacts and messages into your CRM, as well as allowing actions to be triggered from within CRM. We've got full integrations with both Make.com and Zapier, so that gives the endless possibilities from which we can support. Our support team are very fully versed with both of those platforms. If you need help with those things, then that can be arranged as well. But just to show you how it looks in the CRM connections that we have here on the left-hand side in the Dux Dash. With the CRM connections, this is where you go in and you define the connectivity with your Pipedrive, HubSpot or SharpSpring account. This is where you can go in and define that. There are various options here, so you decide exactly which prospects make it into your CRM. They're pretty self-explanatory down here, and it's all fully documented on our support pages. But how that looks in real life is, let me just grab this tab over here. There we go. So here what we see is, for example, this is Pipedrive, and what we can see here, this data is coming across from Pipedrive, coming from LinkedIn. I'm asking Dux Soup to create these contacts for me. They're automatically coming across, so these are first-degree prospects that are making it here. And then, as well as that, and I won't show it because of should we say privacy issues, I can also then see my messages being exchanged with these people. So this is HubSpot. This one's Pipedrive. So there we go. We can see here exactly the same data coming through here from LinkedIn, appearing from Pipedrive. Now, what I can do from here as well, I can actually also enroll prospects or send messages to prospects from both within HubSpot and Pipedrive. Let's just refresh this a second, and hopefully I've not lost connection.
He's hanging on by a thread at the moment, is what I can see. Yeah, he's gone again. Let me just have a look at where he is in the slides. Just bear with me, everyone. So one thing that we did want to talk about today is while we wait for Giles to rejoin, is the fact that we always offer a 2-week free trial of Dux Soup Turbo. So for any of you who haven't used Dux Soup before, then we have a link which I will share with you now. Let me find it for you. So I've popped it in the chat already, but let me put it in again. So for this, you get 14 days absolutely free of all the features that Giles is attempting to discuss with you all today. Here we go. And along with that trial, you will also be sent regular emails to kind of send you in the direction of different bits and pieces that you can be doing with the tool to help you learn how to use it over the course of that 2 weeks.
Hi, Joe, can you hear me again?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I seem to have lost my webcam now. So yeah, there we go. I apologise that you can't see me anymore.
That's okay, we'll let you off. Oh, we can now, look.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so yes, we're definitely doing a hardware audit after this. Okay, so we've talked about everything there. I'm going to just now move on to the resources. I know you've got all of these links available. Just talk through these resources that we've got available. Where's that gone? There we go. So one of the questions that came in advance was how we keep our LinkedIn accounts safe. So that top article there is all about keeping your LinkedIn account safe and how Dux Soup can help you manage that, all about numbers and those sorts of things. I mentioned a workflow template for building campaigns. That's the second one. The third one down is different ways to use campaigns to nurture your existing network. That kind of stuff. That's from a guest speaker that we had last year, a guy called Michael Simpson. Really, really interesting read, that one. Gives you lots of ideas as to how to build those campaigns for different target audiences. The next one down, the fourth one, is the using the different lists from LinkedIn. So the different places that you can use, different resources that you can use to enroll prospects. And then the bottom one there is how you can make use of all the different search criteria in LinkedIn and maximize those possibilities. What I think we should do before I go any further is move on to this slide. Jo, I'll hand this one to you.
Yeah, so we kind of just covered that one, but yes, cool. It's super handy. Have a look. Let me find the link, which I think was what I was just doing as Giles rejoined. So once again, I'll just paste this link in isolation on its own into the chat. So if you use that link, you get your 2-week free turbo trial. And why not? It's free. We don't ask for any credit card details. There's no reason not to do it. Give it a shot. You get access to all the features that Giles has gone through today or tried to go through today, and you get loads more help beside, because we have our onboarding emails that come out to you and kind of give you guidance. So they build your knowledge gently so that you can get up to speed, and at the end of the 2 weeks you make your decision, and that's that. So yeah, there we go. Look, Will's there waiting waiting for you to jump on that link.
Cool. Do we want to move on to the questions, Jo?
Yeah.
If any have come in, of course.
Yeah, no, we do have some. We haven't got heaps, which is not a bad
fine.
thing.
That's fine. Maybe that means I've already answered lots of questions that people had, so you never know.
I think so. So David has said, I've enrolled 900 people over the last 4 weeks, but only 255 invitations have been sent so far. How do we change settings to speed this up? Or are there limitations on how many can be sent in a week?
So, hi David, and there are ways to change it. The default settings are what they are. Have a look at the article, the top one there, this one here. It explains all of the things around the numbers game, etc., etc. If you want to change your settings to send out more, what you can do is you click on your Dux Soup icon and you go to your Dux Soup settings, your options here. Now, the default is that you see these options here. If you want to change the numbers, and you do this entirely at your own risk, what you'll need to do first of all is enable your expert user type here to change the menu that you've got here. That then gives you access to the throttling settings here. And here under the daily limits, this is where you can go to change those settings. Handle with care, and do make sure you read that article before you do this, so you fully understand exactly what is going on there and why you should do this very gradually. The last thing we want to do is for your LinkedIn accounts to get into trouble or to get suspended. So what we always recommend is slow and steady is the way to go. So there's all sorts of information in that article that I mentioned around the type of LinkedIn account that you've got, around how many first degree connections you've got, around what your response rates are, those sorts of things. So just be aware of that and handle it with care. One thing I never do is I never change this 25 by more than one step, more than once a week, if that makes sense. So if I'm going to accelerate this, I would go to 30 next week and then 35 the week after. The way you can unlock these drop-down boxes is by clicking this here to say, yeah, you understand the consequences or potential consequences of what you're doing. I would not go in here and hit 100, for example. That just would not be a good idea at all. You would get all you would probably be able to trigger some warnings from LinkedIn almost instantaneously by doing that. So do handle that with care.
Thank you for that one. The next question is from Bliss. I want to, oh no, hang on. Is there a way to automate just the messaging part on LinkedIn without the connection piece? Now she's come back since and said she's already connected, so she's looking at doing all these follow-up messages with existing connections. And how many automated messages am I allowed to send in a day or a week?
So in exactly the same, we mentioned this during the enrolling section. So here under my drip campaigns, I've got here, for example, a first degree campaign. I've labeled it out for convenience because I only want to put first degree prospects in here. If I scroll down, so this is my first degree campaign. What you can see here is this is an example. I mean, this is just an example. Dux Soup, if I enroll a prospect into this campaign, if it's first degree connection already, the connection request will be ignored. And then the follow-up message would go an hour after connecting, and then subsequently all the other actions there that I've got relating to this particular campaign. How many can you send? Well, it depends. Depends on how big your first degree network is. I would recommend starting at sort of like sending maybe 70 to 80 a day and then increase from there. And the way you control that, again, in the same place here, this counts as direct messages. So direct messages are messages to first degree connections or indeed in mails. So that's how you can do that. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And actually one of the articles to read around that is the nurture strategy one here. So that's the one I would recommend reading around reaching out to your existing network, that one there, the LinkedIn nurture strategy. And that way you can directly message your existing first degree network with a series of messages.
Fabulous, thank you. Hope that answered your question, Bliss. I have another question here from David. Can you explain the skipping options, please?
The skipping options, yes, that's basically when you're enrolling prospects into a campaign, you can decide who you skip. So in this case, if skip outside your network is if they're beyond a third degree connection. Sometimes when you carry out a search and you get a result, you'll see LinkedIn member. Those are people who are too far removed from your network to be able to see their details. So normally you would enable that one because you can't send a connection request to those people. You can't see their details. Premium subscriber, yeah, if they're not a premium subscriber. Open link members, those are, yeah, if you watch our webinar from a month or so back around in-mails, and that explains that one. We've got the influencer, the open to work one. The CRM, that's basically the plugin or one of the LinkedIn direct plugins. It's not a Dux Soup plugin, that one. Profile is blank, yeah, that's if they haven't got a profile photo. Some people consider that if they've not got a profile photo, they're not worth connecting with. It's up to you. It depends on your environment, depends on your industry and everything such as that. So if you're using Dux Soup tags, you can also prescribe tags, and you'll skip those profiles. And then match pattern, this basically is a way to skip maybe certain companies or people in certain positions when you're enrolling prospects. If you're using Dux Soup Turbo, I would always be using the enrollment action. That's the most effective and most efficient way to work. But essentially what you're doing here is you're setting some parameters for Dux Soup to skip certain profiles based upon the list of prospects that you have found.
Fabulous.
No problem.
And that's it for our questions today.
Excellent.
You've done such a good job of showing everyone how to do everything that they've all got to do it, or they're going to. So pretty much that all kind of just leaves me to say, you know, we're always looking for success stories to run new case studies. Last week we published a new one by Ashish Janiani, who's our next webinar guest host on the 19th of March. I mentioned him already, and I popped the registration details in there for you. I'll just add them in the chat again. So if you want to register for that webinar before you leave today's session, then you can do that now with the last link that I've just put in there. He will be talking about how he closes 10K deals in under a month. So he's managed to generate $200,000 from Dux Soup in the last 24 months. And he's another one, a little bit like Scott, who does a big clap and a hands up to Dux Soup for helping him expand his business and grow. And I think that's that's it from us, really. Put your reviews in. Giles, you can talk about your support.
Yeah, of course. If you're using Dux Soup and you're stuck at all, then we provide support calls. If you go to the link there, that also gives you access to our support portal, where there's lots of help and articles, etc., for you to be able to assist you. We've also got a live chat option there as well. If you're looking to build a process, or you're looking to refine your process, or maybe need help with a Zapier integration or something like that, we also provide booster or technical sessions, depending on what your requirements are, where we can help streamline your lead generation activities. And yeah, we'll do our best to assist you in whatever way we can through our support services.
Perfect.
And I'd like to apologise again for my tardiness regarding my connection. Looks like I'll be getting some new data cables or something for next time, and or a new docking station perhaps.
Well, if it helps, Ashish is going to be the guest host next time, so you can be in the.
So I've got 4 weeks to fix it. Excellent. Good news.
Get it sorted. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming back. It wasn't as big a drop this time, and I didn't have to sing any songs, so that's good. I'm sure that pleased everybody, me included. So thank you all for joining us, everybody. Thanks for holding on and bearing with, and we will hopefully see you all in a couple of weeks' time.
Cheers.